Hello and welcome. Today, we are going to master the art of the perfect idlis. I mean, truly perfect. So if you've ever ended up with idlis that are kind of flat or a little too hard, you are absolutely in the right place. Trust me, by the end of this, you'll be making them with complete confidence. I want to start with a personal question, especially for all the mothers and grandmothers listening. Amma, do you remember the very first time you tried to make idli? For so many of us, getting it right is a journey, right? It's all trial and error, a skill you perfect over years. Well, today, we're going to make that journey a whole lot easier. And that's a promise, making those incredible, cloud-like, soft, fluffy idlis. It really is an art. But here's the secrets. It's an art that's based on science, and that's something you can absolutely master. So for the next few minutes, think of me as your personal guide. We're going to walk through every single crucial step and take all the guesswork out of it. Okay, let's dive right in. Before we even talk about how to do it, we really need to understand the why. So what is the actual secret to a perfect idli? Well, it all comes down to one incredible, magical, natural process. And that magic is called fermentation, or pulipikil. This is the absolute heart of a great idli. It's a completely natural process where these amazing little microorganisms, these good bacteria, get to work in the batter. They create tiny air bubbles that make it super light and airy. And as a bonus, this process also makes the idlis incredibly healthy and so easy to digest. So who are the stars of this whole process? It's this power duo right here. On the left, you've got urad dal, or urine. I want you to think of this as the engine of the whole operation. It's what drives the fermentation and creates all that amazing fluffiness. And then on the right, you have rice, or adi. The rice gives the idli its body, its structure. So one creates the air and the other gives it shape. They're a perfect team. All right, now that we know the science behind the magic, let's get practical. Getting this right really comes down to just four key things, four factors. If you can control these four things, I promise you, you will get perfect idlis every single time. So let's walk through them together, one by one. First up, and honestly, this is non-negotiable, the quality of your urad dal. You have to use a new harvest dal. The easiest way to spot it, just look at the color. You want a dal that's a clean, bright white. If it looks kind of pale yellow, that's a sign it's old, and it just won't have the power to ferment the way you need it to. Seriously, this one choice can make or break your idlis. Okay, number two is something you might not even think about, the type of salt you use. It has to be non-iodized salt, like rock salt or sea salt. And you might be asking why. Well, it's because the iodine they put in regular table salt is actually designed to kill bacteria, which is the exact opposite of what we want. It'll slow down or even stop our friendly little microorganisms from doing their amazing work. Third, and for a lot of people, this is the biggest challenge, is temperature. Remember those little fermentation engines we talked about? Well, they need a nice, cozy, warm environment to really thrive. That sweet spot is right around 25 to 32 degrees Celsius. If your kitchen is too cold, the whole process just slows way down, or it might not happen at all. But don't you worry, we've got a solution for that coming right up. And finally, our fourth key factor is the consistency of the batter itself. This is where the real art comes into play, because it's a very delicate balance. If it's too runny, you're going to get flat idlis. If it's too thick, the batter just won't have enough room to breathe and ferment properly. So, what does that perfect balance actually look like? This is exactly what you're aiming for. You want a batter that's thick, but it still pours in a smooth, continuous stream. When you lift the ladle, it should fall back into the bowl in what looks like a ribbon. It shouldn't be a watery trickle, and it shouldn't be a heavy, lumpy plop. That ribbon-like flow, that's your goal. So, just to quickly recap, the whole thing is really simple when you break it down into these four steps. You soak, you grind, you mix, and you ferment. It's that simple. Now, let's really focus in on that all-important final step, the fermentation. Okay, we've arrived at the most critical stage. This is the one where most people run into trouble, especially if your kitchen isn't naturally like a warm, tropical paradise. We're talking about perfecting the fermentation. So what do you do if your house is cold? Here are three brilliant, super easy solutions. First, you can preheat your oven to the lowest possible temperature. Then turn it completely off and then place your batter inside. That residual warmth is just perfect. An even easier trick, just turn on your oven light. That tiny bulb gives off a gentle, consistent heat that works wonders. And of course, if you have an Instant Pot or modern oven, the yogurt setting is your secret weapon. All right, so once your batter has fermented beautifully
And you'll know because it will have doubled in size and it'll look all light and bubbly and alive. We get to move on to the final and most rewarding stage, cooking them to absolute perfection. Now, precision is so important here. First, make sure the water in your steamer is at a full rolling boil before the idli plates go in. While that's happening, lightly grease your plates. Now give that beautiful, airy batter just one gentle stir, don't knock all the air out, pour it in the molds, and get it in the steamer. Steam it on high for exactly 10 minutes. And here's a key tip. When the timer's done, turn off the heat but let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes before you open the lid. That little rest makes them so much easier to remove. And this is the result. All that science, all that care, it leads to this. Perfectly soft, unbelievably fluffy, healthy idlis. And you know what the best part is? That amazing feeling of accomplishment, knowing you made these with your own 2 hands.
So now you have the secrets, you have the science, and you have the exact steps to create these beautiful idlis right in your own kitchen. So I'll just leave you with one last, delicious question to think about. When you have these perfect idlis sitting in front of you, which chutney are you going to serve first? Enjoy the process and happy cooking.